Hi. Now, you are here because of A, you recently saw a Chrysler 300S on the road and you thought, what is that beautiful thing? B, you're interested in buying a Chrysler 300. Or C, you wanted to learn more about a beautiful American sedan. And I will argue, the most beautiful sedan on the road today. Look behind me. This is the beautiful Chrysler 300S. 300S. And I will argue it is the most beautiful sedan on the road today. It has a beautiful shooting brake design, the best looking rims you can find, and a very aggressive front. So during this video, I'm going to take you on a little walk around, show you some of its amazing features, and argue that it's not quite as American as you may think. In fact, this car is assembled in Ontario, Canada, but that's not too far from Detroit. Anyway, it has 300 horsepower and it's packed full of punch, and it's a brilliant high-tech vehicle that may surprise you. So stay tuned. Now here's something I think is particularly cool. You may notice that the indicator on the left of the light, or rather the reflector, is clear. In most American cars, it's yellow, which I've always not really enjoyed that color. But this particular one looks good, looks clean. So the whole front has a monotone appearance. And then of course those beautiful and aggressive driving lights. Okay, so I'm going to start it up and I'm going to do a double tap on the key fob like this. And it's going to start the car automatically. It has a remote start. There it goes. And notice those beautiful driving lights come on. They're not blinking, that's just a video effect. But that's one of the key features. With most American cars today, they have this remote start feature, and I personally can't live without it. Then once you come up to the door, in this car it's unique. A lot of times you have to press this button to open the door, but not in the Chrysler. You simply touch the handle and it opens. The button is there because when you close it, you're supposed to press only the button without grabbing the handle. Now, one of the best features about having that grab the handle only entry feature of the car is, let's say you're being hunted by a pack of wolves and they're right on your heels. You run to your car. What do? You have to get in quickly, right? Just by grabbing the handle, make sure that your entry into the car is much faster than if you actually have to push that button. Allow me to demonstrate. Another great feature is that this car is the most amazing in the world for tall people. Look how well it fits me. And look how long my legs are, and I can fully extend them. It is truly, truly amazing. Okay, I'm going to start it up. Watch what happens when you actually start the vehicle. Look at this beautiful front screen. It reminds you that, yes, I'm in a 300. Then you have this really nice, full, large screen that covers up the entire area of the dash. And then, of course, they have to add that beautiful clock. I want to point out this steering wheel. It is, quite frankly, one of the greatest steering wheels I've ever held in my hand as a human. It is thick for larger hands. It has paddle shifts, which actually work really well in the car. It's very responsive, 8-speed automatic. And then it has all the features and buttons in the front. But again, it's that thickness that I love. And if you look behind the steering wheel, you have those buttons for volume, advancing into different stations. It is great. I am so addicted to it. Plus, the voice command on this car is actually very good. Have a listen. Tune to 97.1.
Tuning to 97.1 FM.
And there you are. And you're in it. Another great feature are these beautiful leather seats. They're so rich and full and hug you ever so nicely. And plus, when you have the S, it's reminding you that you're in the special S model, which means compared to the other one, which has 283 horsepower, you get an extra boost of 300 horsepower there. And then if you want to completely go elegant, you can close all of these containers. This hides the cup holder, but you can close it all up for a nice clean appearance. And that's one of my other favorite parts. Of course, you can't have more than one favorite thing, but it's something else I really like in that it has a very clean interface across the front there. It's just nice and simple. If you've ever seen inside something like a Porsche, the new Porsche, what's the SUV, or the Pan America, yeah, the Pan America, that's just full of buttons, just absolutely riddled with buttons. And here, there's almost none. Most of it's from the touchscreen here. Down here, we have a nice dial shifter, very easy to use. And the S stands for Sport. When you put it into Sport, you can hold the gear with the paddle shift. Once it's in Sport, it will not advance until you depress the paddle shift. The other cool thing is that at any point in any drive or sport mode, you can use the paddle shifts and they will default back to automatic within about 10 seconds. So if you're descending a hill and you suddenly need a little bit more control in the car, then all you got to do is press that paddle shift and then it'll bring it up automatically. And then overhead lights, which are, okay, they're typical overhead lights. But let me show you my other really favorite feature. Check out this visor. Okay, it's a visor, pulls down. Oh, let's say the sun is coming off from the other side. Oh, let's say that sun is really reaching to the left far side. This pulls back. Let's say the sun is even worse. This comes out. So no matter what, you can block the entire side of the window. I've rarely seen a car with that feature. It is one of my most favorite features of this car. This S model has Beats audio system, and I can tell you with utmost certainty, it is amazing. There's a subwoofer in the trunk or the boot if you're watching internationally, and it kicks. I've experimented with my daughter on the level that we could stand, and on a maximum level of 40, we could only ever make it to about 28 before we felt like we were damaging our hearing. It is truly impressive.
Something else worth noting is the dash display, and as you can see, you get a big digital readout in front of you there. And one of the most clever features of this car is that it's very easy to go between miles per hour and kilometers per hour by simply pressing the OK button. And that's it. Once you're in that display, you press OK and boom, there you are. You're in kilometers per hour. Additionally, on that screen, you can configure it to display a million different combinations. You can have temperature in the upper left or right, compass. You can scroll through and check your messages. Of course, you have the usual fuel and temperature readout. You have your trip info plus fuel economy. That's a fun screen to hang out in. And you may notice that besides vehicle info, you do not see your odometer. You have the option to actually hide your odometer. So when your car gets up into that 100,000 mile mark, you don't have to keep reminding yourself about how old it is. The touchscreen is also quite large. In this case, we're looking at an 8-inch all touchscreen and very nice display. The newer models have the updated Uconnect, which has more of an HD feel, but you can see that there's just a million ways you can configure it. You can actually press and hold all of those buttons and you can move them around any way you want, access climate, and then if you go to the Uconnect apps section, you can even activate your Wi-Fi hotspot, and you can also control the media, phone, Sirius. And then what I like a lot is that it does bring up a really nice navigation screen. It's kind of flat, it's not necessarily 3D, but it's very effective and it's very clear. If you have the more updated version, you'll also get traffic reports. So again, nice clear screen. And finally, regarding the interior, I also want to note the app that comes with it. If you download the Uconnect app, you get a beautiful image of your actual car. You can look at all the service notices. If there are any issues, it'll report them. You can remote lock and unlock your car. You can remote start it with the app, and then you can send directions to the send and go function, which is something I really enjoy. You just Google the direction and then send it to the car, and then as you enter the car, it'll bring up that map on the navigation system automatically. It's just a really neat, clever feature.
All right, so now I am cruising on the highway in the 300. This is where the car really shines. It is quiet. I'm at 65 right now. I can speak at a normal volume, and it is just bathing me in luxury. It's so smooth, it's so planted. This is the ultimate road trip car. There's really nothing like it. You're surrounded with leather. As you know, I love the steering wheel. And it's so planted. Even with high crosswinds, the car stays fairly stable on the road. When the bad weather hits, when it's pouring rain, I've driven this in intense downpours, snow, ice, everything. It does not falter. It does not falter. The only complaint I have about this particular model is that it came with projector halogen headlamps and LED fog lamps. So I always wonder, why would they combine halogen with fog lamps? If you're like me, you like to have everything match up front, nice one tone of color. But as it is, I have the LED driving lights, LED fog lights, then projector halogen headlamps. I know I can do a conversion, but I haven't gotten that far yet. But other models come with the HID light. But the best part about this one is that it still has a pretty good output, and of course I put some high-powered bulbs in there. So looking around, I have my heads-up display here, and not an actual heads-up display, but it's directly in front of me, pure speed limit, just the speed limit, nothing else on the screen except my gas and the engine temp. But at any point while driving, I can check oil pressure, tire pressure, I can check oil temp. And a lot of cars nowadays don't give you that option to go in there and get that as detailed. And you may remember in the old days of cars, we had gauges for all that, but not anymore. And many cars just don't bother. One of the Minis I had, you couldn't even check the car's temp. It just didn't have any option to see that. So at least when I'm driving, I can always kind of reassure myself, if anything hot day or anything feels unusual, I can at least scroll through and start eliminating things. But that's the other odd thing. I've driven this car to Canada and back twice. I've driven it up the Eastern Starboard more than 10 times, all the way up to Massachusetts. It has never given me a single hiccup, not one, not once. So it's the dependable Pentastar Mercedes-designed V6 engine. Now, of course, you can get the hemispherical V8 in this car, but you're going to sacrifice a lot of gas mileage. Although there is the cool factor, I cannot argue that. But for now, I had the perfect balance between economy and sportiness. Remember, 300 horsepower, this engine's been tuned, so you get a lot more get up and go. So right now I want to pass this little Jeep in front of me. I'm going to floor it, and here I go. And that's how quickly you can pass in the highway. Of course, I'm going to safely signal to my right. So there you go. That's how good it accelerates. It's really, really nice. It feels very beefy, lots of American muscle there. You cannot complain. After about 5 years in a Mini and a Volvo, I needed something a bit more brash, a bit more American. This may surprise you, but I actually own this particular car, and it was my very first American car to buy. No joke. And I'm glad I did. It surprised me in many, 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 many ways.
So to recap, what makes this car clever? Easy access to kilometers per hour, fantastic muscular appearance, in a fairly economical package, and a great fitting car for almost any body type you can imagine. Truly a clever ride. Chrysler 300S. Bargains happening all over the place at this time as well.